Hi guys, how's all doing? Hope you're staying safe. Oh, that's quite distracting that on the screen. Never mind. Today I'm going to quickly go through how I do a mixdown. It's mainly going to be like a walkthrough of the mixdown. I'm not going to go through every single thing I've done because that will take over an hour properly to go through it all. Just let you all know that I do a lot of the mixing in the project, and then I do a separate project where I do the finished last 20% of the mixdown. Okay, so without further ado, we'll go have a look at it. See you over there. So, and here it is. So in this instance, I'm doing a remix. It's a rework actually, so it's not an official remix, okay, of Above and Beyond's Count Down the Days. Just love the vocal in the track, and I just didn't think there was a wicked enough remix, so I thought I could do it. It's quite quiet because it is a mix down, so hopefully I'll try and, in the video software, I'll try and turn it up a bit for you, but this is roughly what it sounds like. Here's a bit of the build up. So basically what I always do the mix down in WAV, okay, it's a lot easier in my opinion. It gives us there's quite a few benefits actually. So if you're a producer, you'll understand that in synths you have a retrigger function that ensures that the track, the sound when you press the key is the same every time. So the voices are the same all the time. Unfortunately, you might forget the retrigger, so for example the sound might be slightly different. So with a WAV it's going to be exactly the same every time, okay, so you're going to have that sound that you've made and you want to keep in your track there. Also, you can see the waveform, okay, so you can see the different peaks, you can see which waveform has more dynamics, etc. What's louder, what's quieter. It's also easy to chop and change, okay. So what I normally do first of all, okay, I put them all in the mix, all in the project, sorry, like this. I've got a couple of plugins that will cause some high-end hiss. There's not much I can do about that apart from cutting out the high-end hiss, but it might also cut out some of the sound. So what I've done, okay, is all of the bits where the sound's not playing, I'll take it out, so I'll just cut it out. So if you listen here, I'll just solo these. You can see there's a high-end hiss. It's very subtle, but it's there. Okay, so if I take it out, it's gone. Oh, I'm gonna take it out and just play these. Sorry, it's gone. And that'll be useful later on when I'm mixing down further. So as I mentioned, what I do is I put all the WAVs down onto the playlist and I assign them all to a mixer. I've got my own template to do this for mix downs, so it's a quicker. I'd advise you to make one. It doesn't take long at all. Don't be lazy, just make it. And then I'll start to mix the levels. So like I said, in the project I would have roughly done the levels already, so a lot of the levels are mixed decently. So the volume is, or if you look here, they're not drastically different, okay, there's just a few different things that have changed. So I'll generally always do the kick and bass first to sound it, see that sounds okay. What I do is I have a kick bus, bass bus, and then I have a bus for both of them. So what I do generally is just get a little bit of glue on it. It does a glue compression, sorry. So it just sticks the kick and the bass a little bit. Now I generally only do this on the sub bass because I just want the sub bass frequencies to stick. A good setting I like to use, I don't want the transients of the sound, so the attack of the sounds to be affected. So I increase the attack quite a bit, have a quick release, a medium ratio, and then it usually dips about 4 dBs. Let's have a listen. Where are you? Yep. And then I've changed it to about 2.8 dBs back up in the makeup because it's not always 4 dBs that is getting compressed. A lot of mistake that amateurs do, especially I used to do in fact, if you put on some VSTs and it just sounds better straight away, 9 times out of 10 it's because you've just increased the volume. So generally sound better if the perceived loudness is slightly better, is louder. So make sure when you're using the plugin, you look to see how much gain it's affected. Okay, so if for example if it's took off 3 dBs of volume, bring it back up 3 dBs. Now if it sounds really made the sound louder, if the bass has made it louder, drop it down by whatever it is, okay? Then you see the actual difference that's happening, because a lot of the time it's just going louder, like I said. So there's me kick and bass. I've got a mid bass here. What have I got done with my mid bass? Simple EQ. As we took out much lows and a bit of the highs out. I've also used sidechain compression on the mid bass to the kick. Now I've done that not using LFO tools. Now I'm getting a bit sick of LFO tools actually, because it generally it's automating the volume, so like it's not compressing the sound. So if you want that pumping feeling, it sounds a bit more natural in my opinion. I've just used sidechain compression on just Fruity Limiter, but I do use LFO tool on quite a few things. But it depends what sound you're after. Now underneath I usually have a percussion WAV, and then the claps and an open hat on its own. So I've got more control on the open hat and the claps, because I don't want to adjust the volume of it all in the percussion. So that's what it sounds like. Simple. I've probably added a touch of reverb because it would have sounded a bit dry. Yep. Have I? Yep. Okay, so I've sent it to a reverb bus, okay? Without the reverb, with the reverb sounds like this. Oh, where's it gone? Without the reverb, a lot drier. Okay, didn't need EQ because I did that in the project. Claps, there's a few claps on here. This already had quite a bit of reverb on, so I didn't need any. And just take some of the low end off here. So don't need it in the mix. So in most of the sounds I will go through and take off the low end if I don't need it. There's a lot of YouTube videos I've seen that just says, oh, take away everything below 200 Hertz if it's not the kick and bass. I think that's a lot of bollocks. Some sounds, if you take away below 200 Hertz completely, it'll change the character of the sound and it just won't sound right. For example, a good example of this is a piano. If you take too much low end off, it just sounds thin. Just make sure it sits in the mix. So if there's a part where there's too much bass or low mid frequency, do some automation. Drop down the EQ for a bit there, or a different sound. Drop the volume of the EQ at 500 Hertz at a different sound. So percussion, everything else here. Some compression on, some saturation on, and again sidechain, but you won't be able to hear because the kick's not there. I'm going to be honest, I think this is a preset on the percussion. I'm going to be honest, if you look here, it's actually taking 0.3 dBs off, it's taking nothing off basically. It is just pushing the sound though, very subtly. So it is pushing the sound up a little bit. And then a nice little trick I like to do, duplicate the percussion into left and right channels, okay? So I've got the side picks 1 and side picks 2. Okay, I've just panned them. One to the right, one to the left. But it just makes it sound wider. Without. So with it all together, so the kick, percussion and bass, we've got this. Sounds fine to me. One of the main issues I had on the track was getting the vocals to sit in nicely. So I've had to do some volume automation on the vocals. So here's the vocals here. At the start, there's not many elements, so it stands out quite a bit, so it doesn't need the volume. As you can hear. But when you get to here, it starts to have to compete a little bit. So this is what it sounds like here. So I've subtly jumped up the volume very slightly, just so it sticks out in the mix. Not enough so it sounds obvious that it's different. Another thing that I've done with the vocal, if I can find it, where are you? I've added some character to it, so a bit of saturation. Some delay, because the sound, the vocal in the project was a little dry, so I've added some delay, basically mid delay, so it hasn't got loads. It's being cut at 2 kilohertz, so there's not loads of super high end. And I've also cut it down at, where's that, 197 Hz, so no basses in there. I've also automated the wet of the delay, actually not the wet, sorry, the actual delay plugin. I do that quite often. So if you see here the delay, I've actually automated just to see how much of it's going through. So here I didn't want it just at the start. I only wanted the delay to come in after the first couple of words. So this is what it sounds like.
I've been counting down the days and the nights.
See, so it doesn't come in straight away. That's another thing. It wasn't just the vocal that was clashing, it was actually the leads with the vocal. So what I've done, I've lowered the volume of the pad when the vocals are coming back in. Very subtly. I've also done it with the lead saw. I'll put the kick in just in case it's the sidechain's getting triggered there. Good look here. And also, this comes on the next tip, I've sidechained the lead saw to the vocal very slightly. So when the lead comes in, when it hits a certain threshold, the lead, it'll duck. So a certain volume, it'll start to duck. So let's have a look at the lead saw there, we're there. So you can see here, this is a great example. When the vocal isn't there, there's no sidechain compression. But when the vocal comes in, certain volumes, when the lead's at a certain volume, it will duck. So what else have I done? Yep, I've also automated the mix level of this. So I only wanted this to come in gradually. So if you did it straight away, it'd sound obvious. So I've done it very gradually. Is there anything else I could quickly go through? Oh yeah, so on the full actual mix on the master, there was also a bit high end on the breakdown, which I didn't like. Now if you listen to my track on Always Alive called The Scory, I'm going to be honest, I forgot to take out a bit of the top end, so it's not really obvious until I mention it. So if you listen and go back and listen to the track, you can hear it. But if you listen to this, I take out the bottom end, top end. So I'll take this off. So as you can see, yeah, it does make a bit of a difference. But no, this is as much as I'll do on the mixdown. Now, if I feel like I have to do a lot more on the mixdown, I'll go back to the project and have a mess about. A lot of the good producers will say this. What I would do is get the sound starting right first. Don't make drastic changes in the mixdown. As soon as you're doing that, you know something's wrong. A very common pitfall a lot of people do is they'll use too many of the same sounds. It'll stack up on each other and they'll just fill the same part of the frequency spectrum. For example, a lot of lead saws, people can just put lots of melodies on top and it just doesn't sound good, and it's a lot harder to mess out. But the output volume of it on the master then, if you look, now, as you can see, it only goes to -9 dB, which is great. And if you look, oh, sorry, there's that high end. But as you can see, it's so level, the spectrum. The issue with that is though, like different styles of music, it's going to be slightly different. Now in trance, I'll have a bit more high and a bit more low. So in the mastering stage, that's what I'll sort out. Right there. Very flat. But no guys, that's literally how I mix down my tracks. I hope you found something at least interesting in the video. But yeah guys, just keep going what you're doing. See you later. Bye.